see that all is just as it should be. I am safe, so are you, doing all the things God wants us to. In this place, I know I do have everything
Be about 8 to 10 minutes of silence in the middle of it, and then I'll close with a benediction. So the entire service will be about 20 minutes, leaving you 10 minutes to get ready for our celebration service right here in this building and on the same online link that you're on if you are joining us online. So this meditation is about everyday living in peace, love, and joy. So let us begin. We take this time together to turn within, to remember who and whose we are. We connect with divine, the I am, the essence we call God, the source of all good. We are one with the divine, and we celebrate this oneness. Let us relax into this knowing and bring our attention to this moment. So I would ask that you put your feet flat on the floor, and you put your hands in your lap, facing up, allowing energy to flow freely through your body. If you haven't already, close your outer eyes. Let's relax the body so energy can flow. Shrug your shoulders, tense up, and release. Feel the relaxation. Let's do it again. Shrug your shoulders, tense up. Feel that release. And let us take the sacred breath. And as we breathe, as we bring the breath into our lungs, and we release all tension. We release all thoughts of fear. We release all worries. One more time. So breathe in and out naturally in this relaxed state. Keeping your eyes closed, hear my words as if they are your own. Meditation. True meditation is turning our full attention to that which is real, to the truth. What is real? The eternal presence of peace. The peace that passes all understanding. What is real? The eternal presence of love. God's love that expresses through us and as us. What is real? The eternal presence of joy. The joy that fills our soul and bubbles over. Right now, as you become still, I want you to remember a moment, some moment in your life where you experienced the peace that passes all understanding, where you felt the love of God or expressed as the love of God, where you felt joy at the knowing of this peace and this love. the worry thoughts, the fear thoughts. We're not there. It does not matter when you had this feeling. As a small child, as an adult, even as a fleeting moment. Reconnect with that feeling. If you can't find such a moment, imagine. Imagine the feeling of peace, joy, and love. Your body, your mind cannot tell the difference between remembering and imagining. Let the feeling tone of your imagination or a past experience fill you. As you're coming into harmony with that feeling, know that whenever the body breathes, the awareness, the feeling tone of peace, love, and joy fill your being just as the breath fills your lungs. Sit for a few moments and allow for this peace, this love, this joy to be more real to you than anything. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. This feeling tone fills us, sustains us as we become silent together. Feel the peace, love, and joy that are a part of your spiritual nature. They flood your mind, your awareness, and the entire planet. We walk in this peace. We act from this peace. We speak from this peace. We live from this peace. Take a deep breath. Bring your attention back to your body, back to this place, this present moment. Open your eyes. Look around at this spiritual community. Online, imagine the whole world is your spiritual community. I give thanks for this community. I give thanks for this building where we can gather, for the technology that allows us to connect. And I give thanks for the truth revealed to us during this sacred time. Let peace, love, and joy prevail in your life right now and always. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you have a prayer request, send it to prayerchaplains@unityofbellevue.com or org, and we will pray for you. If you'd like one of us to call you, just include that in the email. We'll call and pray with you on the phone, or we'll just listen. Stay right here. Enjoy the slideshow. We'll be back at 10:30 with our celebration service. Thank you.
Let there be peace in my mind. Let there be peace in the earth.
everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm through crying, I'm through waiting, I'm through hoping against all hope. I'm through longing for something gone that'll never return. Think I finally learned, so bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm through grieving, I'm through dreaming that the life I had is ever coming back. No more wishing on someone else's star that'll never be mine. I think it's time to bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. And I've survived many times before, broken heart and slamming door. I'll be alright, yes I will, once more, just as I did back then. I'm gonna rise again, so bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. So bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I know it's gonna be everything new.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Bellevue. Whether you are joining us in person or you are online, one of our live streamers, we welcome you to this new day, this new moment, this new opportunity to be more of the love and joy and peace that we are. If that is a new idea, a new thought to you, we invite you into that knowing that we are love, we are joy, we are peace, and we are unity. We welcome you. My name is Monica McDowell-Elvig. I'm the Center Administrator. I'm taking on some operational duties while we're looking for an interim, and there is news. We have news for you. The board has begun engagement with a new interim minister candidate. So we'll keep you posted. That's all the news right now, but we'll keep posted on news as that develops. Also, thank you for your great response to the COVID survey and the hybrid services survey we sent out last Sunday. We had a lot of very fast responses, and we've decided to just continue on as is. The only significant difference is that we are asking that anybody who is consuming beverages, do so in the friendship room in a socially distanced manner. And finally, we have a new chat feature for you live streamers who are asking for a chat feature. On our website launch page, Sabrina is monitoring that virtually. You can go there, log on, and create a profile and ask Sabrina, send a chat to Unity admin, and she'll include you in the group chat for Unity. You can also private chat with each other, so enjoy. Thank you for all our volunteers. Susan Neidig was our meditation facilitator. Thank you, Susan. She's also our prayer chaplain after service for our prayer circle. Sharon Wolf is our board host today. Reverend Michael Bogar is our guest speaker. Thank you, Michael. And Becca Palm is our guest artist. She and Jamie are going to start us off with My Soul is Welcome Here.
All right, everybody. I want you to get up out of your seats this time. Sing with me loud and clear. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
We invoke the divine spirit, always present, always here, always now, always within, guiding, leading, inspiring, evolving, unfolding as we become greater and greater versions of who we are, unique ideas in the mind of God. We breathe in with a sacred breath into the light and love within. We center, we ground. We know all is unfolding for the highest and best of all. We breathe in again. We affirm this service is sacred. We are on holy ground. We are holy ground, each of us and all of us together. We are so grateful, and so it is.
Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
Thank you, Becca. Reverend Michael Bogar is our guest speaker today, and he is filling in kind of last minute, so we are really grateful for him stepping in. We had a COVID cancellation. For those of you who don't know, I will read a little bit about him. Reverend Michael has studied and taught the classical religious texts from many religious traditions. He has studied Jungian depth psychology and universal mythologies. He has an MDiv, a THM, as well as a master's in the humanities and depth psychology at Pacifica Graduate Institute. He will become a doctorate as soon as that dissertation is completed. He lives in the greater Seattle area and conducts seminars, classes, and workshops on spirituality and psychology. His work underscores soul-making as a dynamic process that values both positive and negative emotions as normal and necessary. There is no wasted moment in a soul-making life. We are grateful you are here. We know your presence, your words, your wisdom will be a blessing to us all. So thank you for being here. I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that we are celebrating and honoring Martin Luther King Jr. Day tomorrow. Just a quote from him that we can carry in our hearts for this service. Nonviolence is absolute commitment to the way of love. Love is not emotional bash. It is not empty sentimentalism. It is the active outpouring of one's whole being into the being of another. Let us turn then to our affirmation. I will read it through once, and you can allow it just to sink into your hearts and into your soul as I read it, and then we'll affirm it together as a community. I open myself to the new, releasing all that has been, embracing all that is, inviting all that is to come. I stand in the knowing that love and peace are my true reality. I enter this new year full of the promise of all the good that is already happening now for me and for Unity of Bellevue. And so it is. Let us affirm with one voice. I open myself to the new, releasing all that has been, embracing all that is, inviting all that is to come. I stand in the knowing that love and peace are my true reality. I enter this new year full of the promise of all the good that is already happening now for me and for Unity of Bellevue. And so it is.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. In my hour of darkness, she's standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. When the broken-hearted people living in the world though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer. Let it be. 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 There will be an answer. Let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow. Let it be. I wake up to the sounds of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be.
Thank you, Becca. Beautiful. Good morning. Welcome, and to the online folks, welcome as well. One of the things I like about doing this when Becca is doing the music is she really thinks about the topic and how the music can be weaved into the topic. And that song is a very popular song. We've all heard it probably 1,000 times. Paul McCartney wrote that. Tell me, what was the occasion? Anybody know? Nobody knows. The Beatles had just broken up, and the future that he thought was, certain for the Beatles to go on for years and years and record and blah, 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 was at an end. It was done, lost. So he had this dream, this vision. His mother's name was Mary, but also it's kind of a secondary reference to the Roman Catholic Mary, the vision of Mary. And he wrote this song, Let It Be, because Mary came to him in this vision and said, let it go, let it go. It's done. There's something new coming out of this thing that has been lost. And that's the topic that I want to address this morning. It's very personal. I was sharing with some others earlier that usually when I come and give a talk, it's to myself. You understand? It's something that I am going through that is very soulful, very personal, very real, and I want to share it, I guess, primarily because about a week and a half ago, I found a thing online, story that I posted on Facebook, and the story got more responses than anything I've ever put on Facebook, and I don't put a lot on there, but the story focuses on loss, and I want to read you the story as I posted it. The young writer, Franz Kafka, who died in 1924, never married, never had children, was walking through a park one day in Berlin when he met a little girl who was crying uncontrollably, sitting on a bench weeping, and he asked her, what's wrong? And she said, I lost my favorite doll. Kafka said, let me help you find it. And they spent a good part of that afternoon looking for the lost doll. Kafka, at the end of their search, said, let's meet here again tomorrow, and maybe we can cover, it was a large park, let's go out and look more thoroughly. So they did. They went out the next day and looked, couldn't find the doll. So he came up with a plan. He said, let's come back and meet one more day and search just to make sure we didn't miss anything. The third day they came back, he met with her, and he said, there's no need to search today because I received a letter from your doll. Now, he's a writer, and a very creative, prolific writer. And he pulled an envelope out of his pocket, and he opened the envelope, and he had said, this is to you. Let's say her name was Sarah. This is to you, Sarah, and it's from your doll. And it said, please don't cry, Sarah. I took a trip to see the world. I will write to you of my exciting travels. I love you and miss you. Well, the little girl didn't know whether to be thrilled or sad, but she felt a kind of happiness that at least the doll wasn't lost. It was doing something. And so over the next few months, maybe years, Kafka would meet with this girl as she was growing up and would read letters that he had written from the doll about his adventures. And these were very interesting, exciting letters, and the girl would just listen with complete attention to what her doll was doing out in the world. She wasn't lost. She was just traveling. Well, after a period of time had passed, Kafka decided that he didn't want to do this any longer, so he bought a new doll and took it to the little girl when they met the next time and said, your doll has returned from the journey. And the little girl looked at the doll and said, this doesn't look anything like my doll. This is the wrong doll. And Kafka said, well, she sent she sent me a letter to read to you that might explain why she looks so different. The letter said, my travels have changed me. They've taken me all around the world, and everything that formerly was true about me is now different. Take me home and love me. Well, Kafka died. The little girl grew up to be a young woman and an older woman. And I think Kafka at some point in the journey had said something like, this doll will get old one day and probably disappear too. Well, the doll got old with the woman, and the head fell off of the doll, as tends to happen with older dolls, and she noticed a little letter or paper sticking out of the neck of the doll with no head, and she pulled the letter out, and it was a letter from Kafka from years before. And he wrote this, everything you love is nearly always lost. But in the end, that love will return in some other way. And this is a principle that he had lived by and a principle he passed on to her. The idea that change through loss is inevitable. I want to repeat that. Change through loss is inevitable. And not only is it inevitable, it is, in this view, required in this world for making a deep and unique soul. In other words, loss is baked into the cosmic pie. Proclus, a famous Neoplatonic philosopher, we don't hear much about Neoplatonism, sadly, in our culture because the whole New Thought movement, Bellevue Unity, is founded in Neoplatonist philosophy. And much of Western tradition is based in Platonist philosophy. Proclus wrote in a very erudite letter that the providence is the idea that there is a provideo, a foresight over the universe that sees that the losses that go on in this universe are necessary for the evolution of the entire cosmos, not just at a personal level, but at a cosmic level. It is loss, chaos, and destruction that creates the opening for the new creation. Now, it's kind of easy to say that. It's easy to talk about it theoretically. And it's easy to ask the question, and we should, is that true? And it may not be. I'm at a place in my own spiritual life where everything that people say to me, I'm ready to take out the bullshit detector and check it out. Amen? And that's the way, one of the reasons I like Unity is because we can do that. We don't have to come in and parrot the right phrases. Nothing wrong with that if that's your thing. But I question this. Is it true that loss is a necessary part of this life in order for the evolution of the soul and the cosmos to take place? So I'm putting that up front here. I think there are basically two positions on this. There are those who look at loss. Just think of your own losses over life or the losses you're going through right now, because I would dare to guess that if we were to allow each person in this room come up here and talk about what's gone on over the last couple of years, and about the things that have changed and the losses that have taken place, we would all probably be weeping at the end of the day. Do you understand? Because we're all in the midst of something going on in our lives right now that feels like it's just eviscerating us. Now, that's not to say that there aren't a lot of wonderful, pleasurable things going on as well. And the unity movement gets to speak on that, and I think speaks on that most of the time. That's great. But we need to actually consider the possibility that there may be a spirituality of lost, a spirituality or a theology or a metaphysics of loss. We need to take maybe a moment and ask the question, is it possible that these losses I have gone through and that we go through, and some of them are horrific, so I'm not speaking this lightly, is it possible that each of those losses contains within it the seed of something to come out of it? If that's the way it actually is. I have found that there's basically kind of two world views, and it kind of almost divides politically at times too. There is what I call the utopianist worldview. And the utopianist worldview, it's usually held unconsciously, says, I shouldn't lose anything. I should never suffer. There should be no hate. There should be no prejudice. There should be no discrimination. There should be nothing that causes anyone any stress or trauma. It's usually unconscious. It's a kind of attitude, and I've held it for many years, that anytime something wrong takes place, it's not supposed to be that way. The other position is, the one that Kafka puts forth here, is that loss is baked into the universe, and not only is the utopianist view, there is some truth to it, which we could speak to in another talk, because we all know that there's something better coming, yes? That's true. However, the caveat is maybe in the contract at this level of reality, and in Neoplatonism there are many levels of reality, at this level of reality, loss is baked into the process. And I think many of us could think of at least one thing in our lives where when we've lost something and we went through a period of grief and resentment, you know those experiences, that a few years later in the rearview mirror, right? You look back and went, wow, that was a very serendipitous loss. Now, I'm going to go to the more skeptical side and say, well, there's a lot of stuff in my life that I don't see any frickin' benefit from. Yes? I know that. Well, this view says that it is a kind of faith position, chaos theory sort of supports it, that there is a faith position that not only at the cosmic level, at the geological and the astronomical level, that chaos is actually the purveyor of new creation, but that at the psychic level, at the spiritual level, the same thing is taking place. That there are gains to be made, but maybe just not right now. That there may be something going on at another level of reality that this little conscious field, I think, is called Michael, but feels so much bigger than Michael at times. You know understand what I'm saying? That little field is just a little ant down here probing this life and having some experiences that are being translated into the higher self. Because I dream at times of two people. In fact, the notion of the two hemispheres of the brain is gaining more and more traction. The idea that the left brain is the ego brain. It's the one that sees life as this little narrow frame of reference where I'm at the center. But the right side of the brain is the imaginal brain, the brain that can imagine that there is a whole cosmic thing going on. Well, if that view is true, there is a cosmic thing going on, then loss is purposeful. It's intentional. It's required. Now, if this were a class, we would take some time and talk about it. But it's not. Now, I want to share some ideas from some of the spiritual teachers around or from the past on this idea of loss as a spiritual practice, as a necessity. This is what Jesus said about loss and grief. The Gospel of John, chapter 16, as we see it divided up today into little chunks and verses, says, Jesus said, in this world, you shall receive trauma. Well, thank you very much. But, I always love the buts, You can have a kind of joyful assurance in the midst of trauma because you can get through it to the good. In other words, there's a different perspective, Jesus says here, around trauma. One is that trauma is just crap happens. The other is crap happens and there's fertilizer. Something's being made in the trauma. That's what he said. Now, the Gospel of Thomas, not in the Bible, although it is in the New Testament. Did you know there's a book out now called the New Testament? There is. Check it out on Amazon or wherever you buy your books. But the Gospel of Thomas is included. Here's what Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas. Those who seek truth should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, anybody know this verse by any chance? It's found in the New Testament, regular New Testament as well. Seek and you shall find. But Thomas adds a little piece here. Does anybody know what it is? When they find, they will be traumatized. Troubled, sometimes translated troubled. When they are traumatized, they will be astonished and will exercise control over all trauma. And after that, they gain control, they will find rest and peace in the good. So you see, the process here in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, as we come down into this world, we move away from the good and we come into the less good. It's still good, but it's not as good as the good. Sometimes people say, it's all good. I say, no, it's not. Not all good. Sometimes it's shit. And they say, well, shit can be good. I say, oh, you're right. Then it's good, but there's good or good. Right? We all know that. There's good and then there's good or good. So what Jesus seems to be saying here is that down in this lower world, you've come down here to experience trauma. Well, thank you very frickin' much. I'm not saying that's the way it is. I'm saying this is a possible perspective for loss. In Hinduism, there we are. I didn't know if these were being put up. Hinduism, many of you are familiar, this is Buddhism as well. In this image right here, does anybody know what this is called, this circle? Mandala. Well, it's like a mandala, because mandala means circle, but it's a particular worldview. This is if you had to boil down Hinduism and Buddhism into a symbol, it's this picture. Anybody know what the circle's called? Starts with an S, ends with Ara. Samsara, which means wheel of life. Now, in this wheel of life, what do you notice is holding it? Can you see the image? Does it look friendly? This is Yama, the god of death and loss. So that this whole samsaric world, this wheel of life, and all around it you have all this symbology, but essentially what's part of what's going on here is that there are reincarnations that we come back and again and again and again into this wheel of life, on this reincarnating wheel of life that turns in the hands and the mouth and the fangs of Yama, the god of death and the god of loss. Well, yeah. I don't know if any of you are getting any older, but this is where we're headed. And it's not just that there is death at the end of this life. There are little deaths all the way along, yes? Well, this is the Hindu view. You don't have to believe it. This is Hinduism. It says essentially that we reincarnate again and again and again, maybe millions of times, into this world, that our field of consciousness goes beyond the brain box, comes through the next brain box, that there is a consciousness beyond the brain. It's more like a television set than it is a producer. The brain brings a new consciousness into the world, but it keeps bringing it into this damn world of loss. Why? According to Hinduism, it's because it is through the losses and reincarnating through karma that your soul eventually gets to the place of completion, and the lotus blossom at the top of the pond opens and the soul is in the light. It's budded. It's the Buddha. You see? So there's purpose, according to Hinduism, for all this trauma. Now, it's not encouraging trauma. None of these viewers are saying go out and cause trauma. You don't have to cause it. You know what? It just shows up, doesn't it? No matter how hard we try to not experience it, it shows up. This is Hinduism. Buddhism, the same thing. The Buddha, when he woke up under the Bodhi tree after his time of meditation, he came up with 4 noble truths. And the first noble truth is life is dramatic. What kind of philosophy? My daughter wrote a paper on Buddhism in 7th grade, and it started out, the Buddha said life is trauma. What kind of stupid philosophy is that? I kind of agree. But the Buddha got this in his enlightenment. Scott Peck got it in the first pages of The Road Less Traveled, didn't he? Anybody remember those first 3 words? Life is difficult. That caught me. That hooked me. I read the whole book because Scott Peck essentially said what the Buddha said, what Hinduism says, what Jesus says, and that is life is difficult because it's supposed to be. And in Buddhism, the Buddha says after life is suffering, suffering is caused by attachment to desire. What does attachment imply? I don't want to lose this. He says all suffering is caused by attachment to desire. In other words, life is a series of losses, and you are either going to hang on to what is gone or you are going to let it go. He says, all right, that's number 2. Number 3 is attachment to desire and fear of loss can be mastered. So you don't have to live in that state of chronic terror, resentment, anger, and all that stuff that comes with our losses. And I don't care how spiritual you are or I am in this room, you know that when the crap hits the fan and those losses that come along in life, of the spirituality of peace and calm and joy and bumper sticker spirituality goes out the door many times, doesn't it? I find myself speaking to my partner or to my children or to my employer or to people on the street or my Republican friends or whatever in ways that I think later, that probably wasn't a very good way to act. Yes? So that's what's being acknowledged here. This is not some pie in the sky spirituality. It's essentially saying we know who we are, we know where we are, and these experiences of failure and loss and resentment and anger that come to us are purposeful experiences. It's not a mistake. And that there's something about those experiences to take from the depths of my being and raise to the surface who's really living in there. Oh, that's not really me. I don't know where that came from. I'm just not myself. Yeah, you are. That's part of yourself. Pink Floyd, The Wall, if you remember, one of the most spiritual albums ever created. In there, Pink is sitting in his hotel room, and he goes crazy and trashes the room. And he says, never mind, this is just one of my turns. Well, this is part of our consciousness. And this spirituality of loss suggests that there is a spiritual practice going on every time I'm experiencing a loss. And that I will either move into the practice by saying, it doesn't mean I'm going to become perfect. It just means I'm going to go, this should be happening. You know what I'm saying? Right now, my wife and I are in the middle of the most prolonged series of losses I've ever gone through. I lost my son in 2008. Afghanistan, was killed. The most difficult, disintegrative experience I ever went through. I could talk the whole morning about what flowers grew out of that crap pile. But the last 3 years, I've lost a younger sister to cancer, a brother to suicide, a father to heart failure, his wife to cancer, my wife's father, heart failure, kidney failure, and her mother, cancer. 6 deaths in the last 3 years. And then my father said, would you leave your life and come up and help take care of me in 2019, which we decided we would do willingly. But it turned into one of the most horrific experiences of our life. Not just the people dying, just everything that was going on during this. Many of you know what I mean by these. When you're working with people who are in the process of death and dying, you see either the angels come out or the demons. We saw that. And now with the estate settlement, we have a family member who's kind of come out of the woodwork who's decided to turn this into a mess. Many of you know that experience. So I'm not up here whining, I'm not looking for sympathy, so if you come out the back door, I don't want you to go, I'm so sorry. You can do it if you want, but you don't have to, because that's not why I'm sharing this. I'm sharing it to let you know that in the midst of all this stuff that's gone on over the last 3 years, and you can ask this young woman over here, to whom I am married, that there are times I have handled it very, very badly. Ashamedly badly. You know what I mean by that, ashamedly badly? When you say things and do things and express thoughts and ideas about the people and the situation that later you just sit back and go, why did I say that? Because it's what you thought at the time. Well, it's not true. It was true at the time. Be honest. So this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm not up here just saying the spirituality of loss is so important. I'm in the middle of it, and I will tell you right now, I was talking to Becca about this before the service. She was asking about the theme. I said, the truth is that the vast percentage of the time in the midst of these losses, when the trauma, the traumatic moments, you get the phone call, whatever it happens to be, my responses are generally pretty bad. Even when the little monitor sitting on the spiritual throne in my mind says, don't respond like that. Fuck you. Excuse me. I'm just being honest here. There's that, and it comes out. However, with the spirituality of the practice of the spirituality of loss, there are periods where it doesn't last quite as long. Does that make sense? In other words, there's something that comes and says, there's a flower, there is something new coming out of this. Well, I don't see it, and I'm not getting any freaking younger. How am I going to enjoy the fruits of this when I'm senile? You understand. So I'm sharing this because this is what I'm in the midst of right now. And I'm questioning this whole thing, and I'm finding that there is something in it. The theory works like this. Carl Jung said, each of us comes into this world to become a little ego. I call it the ego pod. The iPod, the original iPod. And that each of us is one of those little iPods. And Jung said we spend the first 35 years of our life developing this little ego iPod, and the second 35 letting it go. Kind of some truth to that, because there's something about the first half of life that is largely lived unconsciously. It's not 35 exactly, but you understand what I'm saying, that we just do things. Things happen. And then we get up to that 40, 50, 60 years of age, and we find ourselves going, holy crap, I'm at the top of the mountain, I'm going down the other side. There's not much time left. What am I going to do? And that's when Jung said, the real psycho-spiritual work begins. Because this is when the traumas start to pop up like Jacks in the Box. Frequently. High school friend just died. Parent calls, I'm dying of cancer. A child has a trauma that you have to watch them go through. So the second half of life, Jung says, is when we break apart, because it is in that breaking apart that gets us ready for the next phase of existence. Here's how Jesus put it. Jesus said, I tell you the truth, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground, into the ground, and dies, it remains only a single seed. Think about that for a moment. This little seed, this little iPod, this little ego, I've got it. I'm going to cherish it. I don't want it to have any trauma. Well, then guess what? It's going to happen to that little seed. If it doesn't fall into the ground and die, what will happen to it? Nothing. Nothing. It won't flower. It won't do anything. And the little ego, of course, at the time is probably looking up at you saying, oh, thank you for not dropping me into the soil. I don't want trauma. I'm reading books on how not to suffer. I just paid $1,000 to go to a seminar to teach me how to heal everything in my life. But the higher power says, I know, honey. Fertilizer. And the little seed is down there saying, holy shit. Why? Why Am I going through this? Here's what Jesus said. It remains only a single seed, but if it dies, it produces many more seeds. You can't produce more seeds unless you die? Well, I think I've had about enough of this. Here's my paraphrase of what Jesus said. Each ego self is like a tiny seed pod. In order for that pod to expand and increase toward the good, it must fall into the dirty, dark abyss of loss and grief, break apart, die, and wait for the new flower to emerge. How long? Doesn't say. It just affirms a worldview that suggests every loss is the precursor to the good in some form. And I will either stand in that moment of trauma or moments of trauma with a perspective, and this is what it's about this morning, a perspective that says, I am holding to a view that says there is something purposeful going on. Just as this earth in the beginning was peppered by meteorites, what good did that do? Before there was any life on this planet. What happened? What did the meteorites do to the earth? How did it give life? What are meteorites made of? Or comets, I'm sorry. Water. Huge ice chunks slamming into the earth. It's the way I felt the last 3 years. Here comes another one. But it filled the earth with water, and then out of that matrix came life. That's, in this view, the way it works. Not only at the cosmic level, that's why Jesus told parables, because he said at the natural level, there are truths that are true at the psycho-spiritual level. That every traumatic experience comes and brings some form of water in order for the new life to come. So let me summarize and be done. In this view, loss is necessary to know the good. Loss is necessary to become the good. Some of you know or remember the movie The Matrix. We have Matrix. Anybody seen the new one, Resurrections? I saw a quickie there. In The Matrix, Neo Anderson, the new Son of Man, by the way, The Matrix is a Neoplatonic movie. It's based completely in Neoplatonic philosophy or New Thought philosophy or Christian philosophy or whatever. In the movie, Neo Anderson is looking for the good, for the truth. And at one moment, or some moment, he finds Morpheus, who sits him down in a little chair and says, Neo, you're looking, you're seeking, you're searching. You've been searching your whole life. We all have. That's why we're always concerned when we don't find the good and we find trauma instead. There's something that goes, this is not the way it's supposed to work. Neo, you've been searching your whole life and you found one truth to be there, and that is there's something wrong with this world. Remember when Morpheus said that? It's like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. If you've ever had a sliver that you can't get out, this is a psycho-spiritual sliver that's always in the back of the mind saying, I wish it weren't like this. And then Morpheus says to Neo, he says, I'm going to give you the opportunity to find the truth. Seek and you shall find the truth. And Neo says, I want the truth. And what does Morpheus do? You remember? 2 pills. Red pill, blue pill. He says, you take the blue pill, you'll go back to sleep and you live in ignorance. You take the red pill and you will wake up in a new reality, and he wakes up in trauma. If you watch the movie, he wakes up in trauma. But before he does, and this is where I want to close, after he takes the red pill and he begins the awakening process, he's seated in a chair and he looks in a mirror. And that mirror is splintered. It's fractured. And in the movie, you can see him look at that mirror quizzically and go, why am I so splintered? Because that's the nature of this world. But then the mirror comes together into a whole picture, and Neo sees himself, and then the descent into what Morpheus calls the real world begins, but it is a traumatic descent into that real world. So let's just take a moment and sort of plant this seed maybe through a little bit of a meditation here. Let's take a breath. And I respect you, every one of you in this room, and your opinions and your unique ways of taking this information. So this is all I'm doing is offering a perspective. But I invite you to take a moment and to just ask this question, probably many others, but at least this question. Is it possible that the losses that I am experiencing and have experienced and will experience are intentional and purposeful? I'm not saying some God dumped it on us, but that somehow there is intention and purpose in every single traumatic loss. And if I answer that question no, then that's it. It's done. Go live your life. But if I entertain that as a possibility, I would encourage in this time of mindfulness, myself primarily, but each one of us, to further cultivate this idea. For me, it's so easy to walk away from a talk or a seminar and go, yeah, there's truth there. But unless that seed of truth is taken and cultivated, it usually just evaporates. As Jesus said, the birds come and pick the seeds off the path. But if that seed is put in the soil and we go home and maybe do some research on this, to do some meditation on it, to take an idea that maybe the Velcro of your soul found sticking, you might go home and write about it and find out what comes out of the end of that pen or that typing on the screen that is unpacking the truth that resides in you and is waiting to come to the surface. Finally, Creator, Infinite One, intelligence, I don't know what to call that which is behind it all, if it is. It's my prayer that for each of us there would be grace to come and move us one step closer to the good. That's my desire, because I want it so badly. To be so transformed, to be so changed that the good not only comes to me, but it comes through me. Blessings on each of you as we go out this day, and so it is.
Everything is always changing. Nothing stays the same. In the young, ever exchanging, the nature of the game, it can be hard to let go, to feel the suffering and trauma, and also know it's usually in that sacred heart space where we find what's true. Let go of the things we're holding, make room for something new. There's room for something new. Every loss can make us whole. Release illusions of control. tap into that divine silence every single day. And we'll find clues and signs and answers all along the way. All along the way.
Thank you, Becca. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharon, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I so welcome you and thank you for making the choice today to stand and be in such powerful music, message, meditation. We have certainly been blessed by this morning. If you are new to Unity of Bellevue and these teachings, we certainly invite you to connect with us. If you're here in person, reach out to one of us. There are also connect cards in the pews and behind the chair. And also, if you are online, please go out to the website and connect with us there. If you call Unity of Bellevue your spiritual home, one of the ways that we engage in spiritual practice is to affirm our abundance by our financial support. And our financial support is indeed one of those seeds that if it sits in our pocket, it does nothing but serve us. But when we plant that seed in the community, it gives forth so much and offers much in the way of loving, growing, and serving. So I would invite you in this consciousness to affirm our offering affirmation with me. I give freely and for the joy of giving. I know the seeds sown in love produce an overflowing harvest of good for me, for this center, and for all people. Lovingly I give, joyfully I receive, and so it is. Thank you.
And so we open our hearts. We open our hearts. We give thanks. We dwell in this energy of gratitude. We are thankful for life, for breath, for each other, even for the losses and the traumas when we can be grateful for them. For all that has been given, for all that has been experienced. We offer these, our tithes and offerings, as seeds, gifting them forward into the universal law of circulation. We intend that they are used for the highest and best good for Unity of Bellevue and for all of the communities we touch. We are so grateful, and so it is. Our announcements. First of all, welcome. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we are so grateful you are here with us. If you are here in person, we have a welcome packet just to the left of the sanctuary doors as you exit. Feel free to pick one up. There's a coupon in there you can take to the bookstore for 20% off anything of your choice. We also ask you to go to our website, unityofbellevue.org. At the bottom of every page is a sign-up form for our weekly e-newsletter. That's the best way to stay in touch with everything that's happening. And for those of you who are online, you can go to the I'm New page and request a welcome packet there. We look forward to hearing from you. You bless us with your presence in person and virtually. Prayer chaplains are here to pray with you. We have a prayer service following this service in the library. It's also hybrid this Sunday. We're going to take it online with a Zoom link, and you can find that on our launch page. So if you would like to join in the prayer service after this service, just go to the launch page and click on the Zoom link. And the prayer chaplain, who is Susan Neidig today, will let you in, and we can pray in person and online together today. If you have any prayer requests, you can send them to prayerchaplains@unityofbellevue.org. You can fill out a prayer request card in the table right by the south entrance and put it in the prayer box, or you can fill out the form online. Our January sacred services, we are collecting warm items for congregations for the homeless. There's a bin out in the atrium, so you can drop that by for us to take to them, or you can drop it off with them, and the address is in the newsletter. Also, just next week, we have Reverend Nina Clark from Unity in Linwood. The associate minister there is going to be speaking, so looking forward to that. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. Thanks, Becca. Becca was also a last-minute step in for a COVID cancel, so we are grateful to her for being with us. Thank you to, again, Reverend Michael. And all of the volunteers, thank you so much. Let's stand and sing the peace song in closing, and then we'll close in prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator and family, all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment, peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever God is, and all is well. Blessings. Have a great week, everyone.
Back when I had a little, I thought that I needed a lot. A little was overrated, but a lot was a little too complicated. See, 0 didn't satisfy me, 1,000,000 didn't make me happy. That's when I learned the lesson that it's all about your perceptions. Hey, are you a papa or a superstar? So you act, so you feel, so you are. It's not about the size of your car, it's about the size of the faith in your heart, and there's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile, don't have to pay to laugh. Better thank God for that. There's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. Better thank God for that. Out in the backcountry of Brazil, I met a young man who made me feel I could accomplish anything. You see, just like me, he wanted to sing. He had no windows and no doors. He lived a simple life and was extremely poor. On top of all of that, he had no eyesight, but that didn't keep him from seeing the light. He said, "What's it like where you're living today?" And all I did was complain, yes. Told me living here is paradise. He taught me paradise is in your mind. You know there's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. Don't have to pay to laugh. Better thank God for that. There's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. Better thank God for that. There's hope. Stand up for your rights. Keep shining your light. Show the world a smile. There's hope. Stand up for your right. Keep shining your light. Show the world a smile. There's hope every time I turn on the TV. Somebody's acting crazy. Well, if you let it, it will drive you crazy. So I'm taking back my power today. Gas prices, they keep on rising. Government may keep on lying. But we've got to keep on surviving. Keep living the truth and do the best you can do. Cause there's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. Don't have to pay to laugh. Better thank God for that. There's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh.
that. There's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. Don't have to pay to laugh. You'd better thank God for that. 'Cause there's hope. Doesn't cost a thing to smile. Don't have to pay to laugh. You'd better thank God for that.